Hello and welcome to AIM's first Manufacturer Series race. You're here with Wally and my co-host, co-commentator, my brother Ryan. Say hello, Ryan.
Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you might be in the world. We're here with an international race series. It's going to be exciting.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this race. It's our first one. First one of the official series, I suppose. We've done a few weekends now, or weeks. We've had a few test races, a few test streams, and it seems like hopefully everyone's shaking everything out and we're kind of ready to get things underway. Right now we're at the tail end of our practice session, and then we're going to go into qualifying, and then finally we'll have a race here at the circuit de Barcelona, also known as Catalunya, and we're going for no chicane. Nobody likes chicanes. They kind of just slow you down a little bit, right, Ryan?
Yeah, I gotta agree. And going with where F1 this season stopped, they changed up the track again where there's no chicane at the end. First of all, it lends itself to that Red Bull victory naturally, but it's just a lot more fun to race in. You carry your speed through that, and it can make the difference. You get a good run on someone, and we can see some really fun drag races down that long main street of this legendary track.
Absolutely, and I actually really enjoyed the change that I know F1 did earlier this season. To get rid of the chicane. I think it's made things a little bit more exciting. Always carrying a bit more speed, in down the main straight. If you get some drag races going, as we look at Dave Gill going down turn one, flames popping out the side of his AMG. And again, we've seen this livery before in our practice streams, but if you're joining us for the first time, I always love Gilly's almost like I want to say a comic book inspired looking livery on that AMG.
Yeah, it's just a good looking thing, you know, and whether he made it himself or picked it up from the community, some people are incredibly talented with that livery. I don't know how they do it. It is not my forte. I just don't have the patience to work with it on a controller, but more power to the people that do, because they can create some really good looking cars.
Yeah, not for me. I mean, I want to give it a try. I want to get a bit better at it, but right now my livery is really just like, hey, I'm gonna change paint color on here. I'll throw in some flashy graphics and call it a day. What's cool is we do have these AIM number plates made by someone in the community who's one of the racers. I think Salem made that, right, Ryan?
Yeah, I believe Salem made it.
So you should see on all the liveries, you should see the AIM's number plate, which is nice, and we encourage everyone to make their own liveries, or at least mix it up race to race to keep things a little bit more interesting. But before we continue about this race, it does look like we're going to have a full grid today, which is wonderful. Full grid, of course, Gran Turismo doesn't allow spectators to not take up a grid spot, so or at least a lobby room spot, I should say. So I think we'll have 14 cars on track, assuming everyone's here. And which is exciting because it's the first time, even throughout preseason, we didn't really have any full grids. We tried once with an open lobby, and that just didn't work.
Yeah, that was a bit unfortunate. And, you know, again, it's tough too with anything that's not the race. You know, we scheduled the race time to be a point where hopefully anyone that's worldwide can join it and have fun, right? But the evening stuff here in the States, we're on the Eastern EST time zone. We can't do anything super late. We have work the next morning. So unfortunately, the practice lobbies didn't really seem to fill up, but even in that open lobby, we had one good race. The following one, almost no one joined up, so.
It's you know, but it's a thing that'll happen, I guess. A lot of people just like leaving after they weren't doing well. I guess they spun out once, and that was that. But at least right now we have a full grid, and we even have a few reserve drivers that I think are making you know, they'll be here today because we have someone else out. So how that'll shape up for the main racer who's missing this weekend for the full championship remains to be seen. But I'm looking forward to seeing how the series unfolds. So and before we really dive, you know, get into quali here, we are going to be having races pretty much every weekend, starting at 1 o'clock at 1300 EST. Pretty much every Sunday. So this weekend today we have the Gr.3 manufacturer series where we're allowing 2 racers per manufacturer to race. So they're kind of teammates, but of course, you know, they're also racing to win. So they'll be racing each other as well, which will be fun. And then we'll alternating Sundays. We'll also be having an MX5 Cup series, which will be really fun. So far in testing, that's led to fairly close racing, which I like, and I think those Miatas, those MX5s, are just a lot of fun to drive.
I agree. Those MX5s. Listen, the Group 3 cars, Group 4, anything faster than that even, they're a blast to drive, and I really enjoy learning, you know, what limits you can take on each track with each car, and obviously with Gran Turismo being a simulation-based game, you really get the feel for those different vehicles and how they perform and their strengths and weaknesses. That MX-5 Cup is just a blast. It doesn't matter how poor you are, how great you are, you're just going to have a good time. It's fun, and it allows for a lot of close racing.
That's right, and I think we have just started quali, or we will be starting quali here in just a moment. So, Ryan, do you remember how long do we have for quali?
Qualifying is 10 minutes currently.
10 minutes, right? Okay.
10 minutes to get your fastest lap around this track. Again, a lot of it is a high-speed track. That massive straight, we're really going to be giving people a tow, and we'll see some people space out. Hopefully, of course, we hope for no carnage and a clean qualifying. Already, Tony Cal getting a 3-second penalty for crossing the pit lane. That is not going to help him out here.
No, unfortunately, you know, that was just like we were on board with Mr. Labu, who has proven to be so far in preseason, he's proven to be a pretty quick driver, and unfortunately, it kind of looked like they were almost inside of each other, exiting the pit lane. So maybe to just avoid any sort of contact, Tony, it's like, all right, I'll take the hit on this lap. It's fine. And
yeah, it's an out lap regardless. And honestly, I've also encountered a couple of odd things this weekend at the daily races where I'm on auto drive and I still get a pit lane penalty. I'm not quite sure what's going on there.
Sure,
Gran Turismo,
auto drive.
Sony,
Sure.
Polyphony. Yeah, I'm not the only one that complained about it.
Auto drive sent me off into the gravel, man. I couldn't help it.
Listen, sometimes I just pull up my signed shorts and feel like getting all gravelly.
That reminds me of was it a Toyota? I feel like I got a few years back. Maybe it was probably more than a few years back now. But they had like accelerators getting stuck down. Yeah, in their road cars.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember who that was. That was not great.
No, not a good time. Not a good time. I can imagine, with the evolution of self-driving cars now, we'll start seeing people playing. Oh man, half the time it seems like people are sleeping in any sort of self-driving car. You see photos on Reddit and everything like that.
Oh, that's for sure. But I'll tell you, if you get caught sleeping here with us today, it's not going to end well for you.
It won't end well. As the drivers are starting their first true quali laps, the first one was an out lap here. And we're going to follow along. We'll keep our eyes on Mr. Labu here, who we've seen this livery before. I think he's just finally kind of perfected it. The cream and orange looks great. I'm loving it. It reminds me of a cream school, even though he's got pumpkins all over the place. Maybe a pumpkin cream school kind of thing, wouldn't be too bad.
Yeah, no, I'd be open for that. And the McLaren he looks really good driving that McLaren around, I've got to say. I personally haven't given it too much time in Gran Turismo, but we saw around, I believe, the Nordschleife GP this past Wednesday, Mr. Labu did work. Really, it seems like a nice, tidy car. Curious to see how it'll play out here today. This track has, a lot of high-speed corners, but there's the good mix of slow turns, too, and obviously the big straight. So, do you put all your eggs in one basket with high-speed corners and straight, going for that top speed, or do you go more towards the slow-speed corners? Obviously, your setup can change those characteristics as well, and the strengths and weaknesses of your car, but I personally go for an all-rounder approach, but I don't know. What do you think?
I think it's just important, to have an all-around, is in my opinion. But I think that's also because, maybe I'm not as good at getting the most out of some of these cars as some of these other drivers. Hence a bit maybe why I'm commentating. But I think it takes, you look at a car like, people talk about the Audi, the R8, or the GT. And as Mr. Labu goes for 141.1, that's pretty quick.
Yeah, that
Tony
seems like
Cal
our first
takes a
real
149 though.
140.9 from Tony Cal, not leaving Mr. Labu that fastest lap for long, but that's okay. This is qualifying. We've got another less than 5 minutes left. Let's see how these laps shape up.
We'll see. Yeah, Tony Cal just swapped off from during the practice season, I guess, that we were having the pre-season testing that we were doing. He was in the Ford GT, like I was just talking about, but he swapped at the last minute to the NSX, and it seems like treating him well so far for this qualifying. And from what we hear, it's a bit better on fuel, a bit better on gas compared to the GT. I think Tony, who is someone who has proven to be quick in these cars, he's probably someone that would be able to get more out of that GT if he decided to stick with it. But I also see it's a really good point to say, well, if I can be almost just as fast as the GT and save fuel and tires a bit longer, it just gives him a few more cards to play in these races, especially when he's going to be battling with, I assume, up at the top with people like Mooseman, and I assume we're going to swap over to Moose real quick, actually. And he's in the GTR. He's been dominating the preseason.
Yeah, Moose was absolutely disgusting in the preseason testing that we did. It was really fun to see. Giller up there, too, is a contender. I feel like his consistency is his weakness, and definitely my biggest weakness. But Giller can put in some pace, too, so we'll have to see. Delphus, I was pretty impressed with as well, and they really only joined in on one lobby with us this past week. So some unknowns, naturally, and obviously we have reserve drivers here today who maybe won't make an appearance every race, but it's all out there. And no matter what, the point of this is to have fun in a more competitive environment with similarly minded racers. Now, on that, real quick, I did want to go through a couple of things with our manufacturer series. Our point breakdowns, P1 through P7 gets points, starting at 12, going down to 1. So 12 points in P1, 10 points in P2, 8, 6, 4, 2, and 1 in P7. If you get fastest lap and pole position, or you get 1 extra point for each. So if right now Tony Cal, who's taking our pole position, or fast, it'll work out well for him.
Yeah, I mean, listen, you want to scrape up as many points as you can get, and just getting pole in quality or provisional pole, at least for now, is going to help that along the way for sure. And as we're going to be wrapping up quality here in just a little bit, well, at least we still got about 3 minutes or so. So you'll be racing. We're going to be doing a grid start, I believe, but
that's correct.
And we're anticipating these Group 3 races to be about 90 minutes or so. But we're doing a grid start, and we're going to end up doing it by lap counter because we wanted to simulate a safety car start. So Ryan over here is actually going to be hopping into the safety car. We have a few different kinds and a few different liveries made for them by Tony Cal, actually. So that should be fun for you. You get some track time before coming back and finishing the race as a commentator, which will be fun for you, I suppose.
Yeah, it's my one and only time to really lead a lap around these tracks with some of these drivers. I can't hold a candle to them. I do think I'm playing the shit out of my controller, though, I'll be honest lately. Really being limited now, but that's a proper setup is to come in very short time, I think, for me. I'm getting the itch to spend some money, and and it feels like maybe a proper rig would be fun. Would be a good way to spend that money. I know that there's basic setups. We've had the Logitech wheels in the past and everything, and those are great for just beginning. But I feel, especially after racing on Tony's rig, where I think he's got some Fanatec stuff. He's got a lot of Fanatec stuff.
It's like I can't go back. Like it feels so much more realistic, and just sitting in it feels so much more solid. And I'm sitting here like every time I try to brake, the pedals move, or I turn the wheel too rough, and it's like, oh, I'm gonna pick my desk up and break it in half.
Exactly right. Yeah. No, I'm with you. And setting it up and deconstructing it every time you want to race is just another barrier to entry. So, and I will say though, not all of our drivers have rigs. Quite a few of them are on controller, to my knowledge, and that may show in their times. But again, you can still be competitive, believe it or not, especially depending on the quality of the racer behind the actual steering wheel. But again, we're looking to have fun, clean racecraft, hard driving, and respect for your other drivers. I think that's the biggest thing missing right now in the daily races, for example. You might get a good lobby here and there, but more often than not, with my experience, people are using you as guardrails and everything,
It's unfortunate, yeah, especially depending on your driver rating and whatnot, but it seems like it's a really mixed bag. Sometimes, oh wow, that was a quick lap by I think Labu right there. But Tony is holding provisional pole. Yeah, sometimes you get punted 5 or 6 times, and then other times you can actually have a clean race, and you have some wheel-to-wheel racing with somebody, and you feel alive at that point in time. But
yeah, it feels great when it happens. It really does.
It feels wonderful. Yeah, it is tough because especially in the open lobbies, like for the daily races, I feel like everyone starts off at a good, you can see the connection with the little Wi-Fi graphic.
Yes,
show,
yeah.
And everyone starts off green, and then as soon as you get into the race, everyone's like yellow or below, and you start getting rubber banding or whatever the case may be. So far, though, in our preseason testing, we do have drivers from all over the world, and it seems like nobody's really complained about connection issues. Or any sort of lag or rubber banding. So it seems like we're crossing my fingers that we don't cast a curse this, knock on wood. Seems like we're in a pretty good spot. And I just want to give a shout out to Specs over there in chat. Specs will be racing with us in the future. He had to miss this race. As we see Winter Graves spin off in his Ferrari, that's good thing it's quali at the end of quali, I suppose. And also, hello, Mr. Fire and Ice. It's been a minute.
Fire and Ice, thank you for joining, letting us know how we sound. We did work kind of hard in getting us all set up properly for anyone viewing, so we appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
Thanks for the support.
All right, so it looks like as we're going to be on our final lap for quali for most of these drivers, Tony Cow still hold the provisional pole at 140.0.
Not a big difference between himself and Moose, man. Moose currently, his fastest lap is a 140.1, but he's across the line. Mr. Lob is across the line with the 140.7, so 0.6 their difference.
Yeah, I mean, it even looks like, across the grid we have a few different, maybe look at that Demon with 142 and then Crispy with a 143 and change. We're going to have a few drivers, a few different fights going on for sure, which is always a fun time, I find. You don't want people just walking away in the front, but I think we'll have a great battle in the front. We'll probably have some midfield and backfield battles as well with the full-size grid. So hopefully can keep you entertained for the next approximately 90 minutes. Hopefully I can talk for that long. I don't think...
Oh, I'm already set up here. I've got like a bar of beverages for myself. No alcohol, but sipping on a Celsius energy drink right now. Got some water next to me, but hey, I'm gonna let you go. It looks like they're doing their final setups for the race, and I will be jumping into the safety car.
Alrighty, while he's gonna be jumping into that safety car, let's go ahead and take a look at these results. Tony Cow on pole with a 140. Oh, almost a 140 dead. That was a pretty quick lap. But again, not far behind him. And now we have Mooseman and then Labu, all within a second of each other. So that, and we have Giller just behind, just over a second. So those top four should have a pretty close race. And then we do have a slight, half a second gap there with Winter in fifth, followed by Sango in sixth. We have Yuma or Phoenix in seventh, and Urkel in eighth. And I'm able to scroll down here. Let's see. Yep. All right, cool. I never had to have more than one page of results. So we have Delps and the Viper in ninth with a 142.2. We have Demon and his RSR, the 911, excuse me, just behind him. Tyronus at 11th, Crispy in 12th, and Umwell OK in 13th. So this is going to be, I think, a fantastic race. Like I said, we have a few different drivers in different spots. Who's going to be able to make up different points or places and whatnot. And I'm really curious to see what these tire strategies end up looking like. We do require a compound change in this series, and I believe we currently have tire wear at 5 times rate and fuel wear at 4 times rate. BOP is activated. We have slipstream strength tonics, etc. So realistic settings for the most part, and we do allow a a tiny bit of tuning, I believe. So I think it'll be interesting to see if we get some of the back markers, possibly put me in a 911 RS. Okay. All right, Delps, listen, we'll see what happens. If that spot opens up, maybe you can take the R-Star. You were saying you were pretty quick on Barcelona, though, so we'll see what happens. The race is, we have a long race coming up here. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to wait for the room to change onto the race so I can jump in and start spectating. Oh, no, it doesn't look like we may not have a safety car. Oh, no. Well, in that case, I suppose he'll be back sooner than later. Well, like I said, we will be requiring that compound change. So maybe we'll have some of the back markers starting on the hards, seeing if they can make those tires last, and possibly gain a few places just based on pit stops. And maybe we'll have some guys in the front end. On the softs, I'm sure they'll want to get a good start, and be able to compete and fight with the other drivers up at the front. But those softs are going to wear. This track is known to eat tires. It's very, very hungry track for tires, especially with that 5 times wear. In our testing, the other tracks weren't quite as quite
I am
as
back
bad,
for now.
but welcome. What happened? Oh, you didn't ready up.
I didn't ready up for qualifying. That was my mistake. I apologize.
Well, it's all right. We'll have Tony Cal. Sounds like he's gonna take place in the safety car this afternoon. The NSX safety car. Spec saying you had one job, Ryan.
Yeah. I mean, listen, I don't even see you here. At least I'm in the lobby, so.
Oof.
Yeah, no, you know what? I was so focused on the stream getting everything ready, I forgot to hit ready up while I'm sitting in the lobby. So that'll be fixed for next race, that's for sure.
That's all right. That's a quick, easy note and change to make. So.
Yep, that's right.
Yeah, Delps. I didn't drive I don't think I've driven the Viper in Gran Turismo yet because
it is not my favorite.
You were complaining about that in a daily race recently, right?
Yeah, I mean, that daily race Viper was definitely different than the Group 3 one.
Yeah,
but I'm sure they share some characteristics.
I remember just loving it in Forza when we used to race with our uncle a little bit. But all right.
Yeah, they were pretty squirrely sometimes, but that's all right.
And here we go. Let's start spectating. So I think what's going to happen in here is everybody's going to go ahead and pull off to the side, or their respective side of the grid. Well, actually, Tony's starting in front.
They'll just do a formation lap. They're going to do a formation lap, but Tony's just going to lead it. So obviously, no overtaking, no going faster than 75 miles an hour, just like the safety car would. Still just allow everyone to get their wits about them, maybe warm up the tires, etc.
Yeah.
While this has happened, I'm just going to note down their tire compounds.
That's a great idea. So yeah, we as commentators are kind of also acting as stewards a tiny bit. Obviously, it's a bit tough with Gran Turismo not having the best camera control and everything else to be able to see every single incident, but we're going to do our best. Obviously, on this main stream that you're watching, we're going to be trying to keep our eyes on the action. But in the background, Ryan's going to be swapping around on his view and seeing if he can keep his eye out on different parts of the field for any sorts of incidents or whatsoever. So while he's taking down those tire compounds, we can comment on the liveries. Yeah, Helps. Your Viper livery wasn't the most popular in the Discord, but listen, man, if you like it, you do you, boo. You know what I mean? Not my cup of tea, but I mean, at least you have the Donkey Seb on that. Or was that on your Porsche? I forget. But here we go. Everyone's going to start warming up their tires. We do have Tony Cal on the medium tire here, which I think is a good choice. I'd say medium choice. But I think it's a good middle ground to be on. He's starting pole position. He wants some bit of performance, but also they'll have a bit better longevity than the sauce would give him. I do wonder though if what's gonna run out first, tires or fuel, because I remember running a few test laps with the other night and I felt like fuel was going pretty fast. So we'll see what happens. How is that Viper Delps on fuel? Is it good? It's American, so I wouldn't assume it's that great, but maybe I'm surprised. Maybe Gran Turismo gave it a little bit of extra juice. But one more time, as we're going around the penultimate corner, we have Tony Cal on pole position, followed by Moose, Labu, and Giller, who are all within a second of each other. So I think this is now going to be on Tony Cal to start the race here. He likes to drink. Well, good luck in the race, sir. And we're about to get underway. Let's see who has a good start, who maybe gets caught sleeping on the restart here as we all come down to the main straight.
I was caught sleeping on joining that race.
You were caught sleeping. And we are going with Tony Cal leading the way. Mooseman quick right behind him, followed by Giller. Looks like Giller made up the place right away, pulling into third in front of Mr. Labu. But Mooseman has a slipstream. He takes a look on the inside, but says, "Nah, I'll back out for now." As Tony Cal goes through the first chicane and is maintaining first place as we go into the next turn. Nice little right-hander. Nothing too serious going on right now. Looks like we're going to start forming a train here.
That's right. So far, so clean. Honestly, I'm very happy with that. Unfortunately, it was not the grid start that we were supposed to have, but again, that'll be fixed for next current manufacturer series race. And We have a mix of softs and mediums, and one player is on the hards. Tyronis is starting on the hards. For a 50-lap race around this track, which eats up tires, I absolutely see it as a strategy, but your fuel is also going to have to outlast your competitors.
I was just saying that I think maybe shortly before you joined in, I was doing a few laps around here the other day, and I felt like my fuel was wearing down quite. Now, granted, I wasn't doing any sort of fuel saving. I was just kind of, going, oh wow.
Full send, yeah.
Full send as you do. But it looks like Giller getting right alongside Mooseman around that turn, but he decided to go back behind Moose and waits another day for that move. But while those three are fighting back there, Tony Cal is just gonna hope maybe we'll see him open up a bit of a gap here. As he's
really, as pole sitter, he just wants to get away. Let the people find and fight. Treat this as just a qualifying session where he's just willing to go as fast as possible, and then worry about some tire management after you create a gap.
Absolutely. It looks like we're going to have a total of 50 laps here, or just 49 racing laps, and we'll see what that turns out to be time-wise closer to the end of the race. And Mr. Labu having a look against Gilbert to reclaim third place, and it looks like he's in front of him back there. We'll keep our eye on Tony right now because Mooseman about a half a second behind, and that GTR has some legs, we know. Moose has been very
dangerous
comfy
in that GTR.
Right? Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm sure Tony isn't living easy yet, but as we see the front four is starting to pull away from Winter down in fifth, it looks like this front train, might have a bit of a gap. Actually, Winter barely hanging on, I'd say, to Gilly.
Yeah, we have a big train coming up around P6 or so. So it's, the field is spreading out a little bit as Mooseman going on around the outside of Tony Cal, having a look there.
That was
going head-to-head here.
Listen, down this straight, he's got the inside line. Tony Cal's going to have to go a little bit wide and not hug that apex as closely as he likes. Looks like Moose is going to take first, and he might sit in this first place until we get back down to the main straight where Tony Cal's going to get the toe, the slipstream. And
yeah, that's right.
That was a fantastic move by Moose.
It was a great move by Moose. Really brave over there, especially around the outside, but he was able to pull it off. That GTR, it feels planted. I gotta say, the NSX does as well. Once Tony told us that he had swapped over to it, I said I had to drive this, so give it a shot. It felt very good, very different to the Porsche that I typically drive, but it felt very comfortable. We'll see how it plays out for him versus the 4GT.
Hey, listen, he may be planted, but it looks like against the AMG, he's now losing out to Gilly on that main straight. Gilly had the toe, of course, and he was able to pull ahead of Tony going into turn one. It's a long race we got going on here, and I think the AMG may be a bit harder on the tires, but that is now third place for Tony, down from first. And Moose, as we've seen in pre-testing, likes to just walk away once he's in front. So we'll see if he's able to maintain that, or if Gilly's going to give him a hard time. Now, you did mention most people are on mediums, right? But Gilly, notably in front, is on softs.
Yeah, Gilly, Mr. Labu, Crispy, and Delps, and Purple, are on softs. So we have a fair number of people, but yeah, Gilly on the softs right now, it's helping him out. Curious to see, again, how long does it going to last, because, again, through our testing, this track was destroying those softs. We even saw it at the end of qualifying.
Mr. Labu having a look at the inside of Tony Cal as we go back to this kind of uphill section of the track. Now, who's benefiting a lot from these top four fighting is Braves, who, if we just shift over to him real quick, they're not far behind. They're like just hanging in there. As maybe Labu and Tony continue fighting, they're able to keep in that toe and just keep up. I've heard this Ferrari is pretty quick. I've driven it a few times myself, and I found it surprisingly to be, again, pretty planted. And I really liked the power band on it, especially like when I was comparing it to the Renault that I still really adore. But I thought it was pretty. It was quick. It was fast.
Yeah, I agree. I can see why people like that Ferrari. It feels good to drive, and again, the power band is just it's again what different to see on every car, really. But that car I felt like was different. We did have someone trying out the Huracan. Not my cup of tea. That car, not for Group 3.
I've heard that car is a little bit of a beast to drive and not everybody's favorite, but you know, we allowed people to change cars up until I think the week before, so a week ago today, to change manufacturers if available, and even change any cars within that manufacturer. Some manufacturers do have more than one Group 3 car available to them. Like one of our racers is, I think he's stuck with the BRZ. I don't think Specs ended up changing to the WRX, but he proved to be pretty rapid in that BRZ. So we'll see.
Yeah,
when
he
comes
did
back
work on it.
Next Group 3 race, how he's going to be doing.
That's right.
Go on.
Oh, I was going to say, you know, we're looking at everyone on these mediums and softs, and obviously those people on the softs have a softer tire advantage. Someone who has just relegated themselves to last place is Tyronis on those hards. I see the strategy. I really hope we'll see something here play out for them, but they are currently 7.5 seconds behind the next person in okay in P12, so I hope it plays out for them in that Peugeot and those hards.
Oh wow! I hope that hopefully they didn't have an incident of this where we didn't get on the feed.
I didn't see anything from them.
Okay, 7 seconds is a little bit, but you know, like you said, it could be the hard tire disadvantage. Real quick, speaking of tires, I want to check on Mr. Gilly over here on the softs. He seems to be doing pretty well on those tires. I'm kind of impressed. The AMG I thought would be a bit worse than the softs at the moment, but I suppose we are only 6 laps in, five racing laps in. So we'll see how those tires continue to shape up, as he's about half a second behind Moose, and it looks like, you know, those two are starting to pull away a bit from Tony Cow in third place. It's about a second and a half down at the moment. I don't know if that fighting with Labu had anything to do with that, but they're definitely going to want to try to keep up if they have hopes of, you know, maintaining that's the pace that they want to maintain and fight for a higher position.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think if they can hold on to it, you know, it might just play out to them. Naturally, I don't think these Group 3 cars really like dirty air. It's from following too close for too long. But if Winter Graves can handle it, then even better. We do see Tony Cal falling behind from Mooseman and Giller in P1 and 2. And that gap is just going to help the two of them out. You know, right now Giller's just getting a tow from the Mooseman to further separate them from the rest of the pack. Will it make a difference with Giller on those softs? It might benefit him enough to the point where, you know, when he does go to pit, it's not as big of a loss as it would have been previously.
That's a good possibility, and as we see here, going down the main straight with the tow once again, Gilly and the AMG getting mighty close to Mooseman as we turn another lap and we go down the first chicane of this track. I guess one of the only chicanes left on this track since we don't have the infamous back one. But Gilly looking to be on form at the moment. Granted, again, he is on the soft tires, but those are going to be wearing further, you know, the longer we go. Mooseman, on the other hand, if we swap perspectives to him real quick, he's on the medium, but the big difference to me looks like the back left, and that was the one that was rough for me as well. Was the back left? It felt like the first to go. And
yeah, same here. Definitely both your left tires, but the back left was hurting a bit more. So we'll have to see. It can listen. You hit it just wrong. You put too much load on that tire when it's a little worn out and tired. It's not going to look too good for you.
No, not at all. And I'm just curious too. If we're going to hop back to Tony Cal, I'm curious to see what his. You know, maybe he's doing a bit of fuel saving here, but not. It looks like maybe it's just the NSX. You know, I don't know, maybe it could be a tuning or setup difference.
I'll tell you, between Tony Cal and Mr. Labu, their fuel and their tire wear looks identical, but Mr. Labu got the move done on Tony Cal.
Mr. Labu.
Now, that could just be a comfort thing, right? We did say Tony Cal's changed this car quite late. We'll see how it pays out. Good to give him a challenge, though. Tony Cal is a very strong racer, and, you know, we'll just see how it goes. You can't get P1 every race, but again, we have 48 laps left to go here, so.
Tell that to Max Verstappen.
Listen, not all of us could be Max.
We're going to do a real quick check down the grid as we're going down lap number 8. Winter Graves holding 5th place. kind of in no man's land at the moment. Purple Oracle behind him is about 2 seconds behind. And Purple, we haven't seen Purple race yet. I do remember them posting this lovely Renault livery a few days back, and I gotta say, I am in love.
Clean.
I am in love with this livery. Like I said, I'm really enjoying the RSL1 myself. I think overall it's pretty good all-arounder, and with the tuning adjustments that we're allowing drivers, it seems like, you can kind of make it adapt to different tracks. Though, look at that tire wear on the softs. That is pretty rough.
It is pretty brutal. We're 8.5 laps in, and maybe you're gonna have to start thinking about pitting soon in that car.
Winter puts a few tires in the gravel, and that is going to open the door to Purple Oracle to get real nice and close and get to know Winter quite well here as we're going down into the. It's not quite a chicane, really. It feels kind of a chicane. I don't know what to call this corner. Maybe a tight hairpin.
Yeah, it's kind of a hairpin with a sharp left.
Yeah, it slides once again. Winter maybe feeling the tire wear, and now that's just giving all these guys the door open. And as Winter goes wide, Purple Oracle takes 5th, Delps in 6th, Demon in 7th, Graves all the way back in 8th. Now, Graves was just saying in their Discord earlier that they've done no testing, they've done nothing, and I called them out for sandbagging, but man, that is rough. That was Winter was doing well to hold on to 5th for a long time, but gave that up real quick. Now we have Purple in 5th, and once again, we're going to continue to drill down real quick. We have Delps in the Viper in 6th, and that Viper is probably pretty quick on the straights, but looks like Purple was still able to walk away with it. Delps also on these softs that are screaming in pain at the moment, it looks like. They're wanting to retire, I think, those softs. I think the tires will retire soon, yes. Good one. That's a good knee slapper right there. We have Demon following them, and with Demon we've seen quite a bit in the preseason testing that we've been doing. Demon likes to fight everybody. We've seen Demon fight with the top drivers, we've seen it in the midfield and in the back, and it feels like the biggest change, we see some contact between those two. I'm not sure, Demon maybe just outbroke himself a little bit in lap 9 there. Thankfully, maybe we'll call it a racing incident. We're just going to check on Delps real quick. No damage, so all seems okay at the end of the day. Maybe you want to mark that down real quick, though, if you're able to.
Yeah,
I see you doing that already. Perfect. So, yeah, now Delps has given up that position to Demon, but that was after a bit of contact. Like we said, Winter is now in 8th, and Yuma, or Phoenix Dragon, in 9th.
Yeah, Yuma started in 7th, so, saw them drop back a couple of places, but we'll have to see how it plays out for them. They were on the mediums, so it kind of makes sense for Purple to be ahead of them on the softs, and Delps is also on the softs, so there's just the compound difference there. It
is a nice line by both those Yuma to be following Winter over that long sausage curve. You really want to put your left tires on the left side of it and just kind of drive right over that sausage curve. Yuma might get the run here on Winter. I don't know if they're going to end up being close enough, but it's good to see them, having a fight at least. I mean, realistically, it's just that mistake from Winter really opened the door for this entire train we have going on right now. Following up, we have Crispy back here in he's in an Audi now. This is the first time I'm seeing him in an Audi. I think Crispy's...
Yeah, he was in that Lexus for a while.
He was in the Lexus, and then he was in the... was he in the Lamborghini? Or the Ferrari?
Yes. I believe Crispy tried the Huracan on our last race. Sakia back there behind Crispy with the 3-second penalty.
That may have been a pit lane. Not that they've pitted, but maybe they crossed into it. Or heavy track limits, maybe? I'm not really sure. Let's just finish up. We have Unwell Okay. These guys in the Renault as well. And then Tyronis. Well, so looks like they did Delps pit. Yeah, all right. Delps looks like they pit. They're now on hards if you want to make a note of that. If you can.
Absolutely. I want to bring you back to this race between P1 and 2. We have Mooseman still in P1. Giller has just been following him around. And honestly, Mooseman's tires do not look much better than Giller's.
That's some amazing tire management by Gilly, if that's, listen, Moose has been probably running pretty hard, considering he's had Gilly in his rearview mirror for how many laps now? 6 laps now?
At least, yeah, I would imagine. And if Giller is just able to keep up there, I mean, first of all, that's impressive. But second of all, making Mooseman waste his tires, and he's just leisurely hanging back, saying, "Okay, I know I have the softer tire. It's gonna wear out faster, but
Yep. It just
does not look like that."
It's just, you can see we have these back. Oh no, as Gilly makes a bit of a mistake, and that's going to allow Mooseman to get 2 seconds up, maybe a little bit further on him now, and that's going to once again open the door. Mr. Labu, who is hunting the mysterious pumpkin man, kind of hunting him down right here. Now, Labu is now 6 seconds ahead of Tony Cal. Tony must have had a spin-off, must have visited the gravel or something, because that is unlike him. When that's a big oof. If I had to put a size on that, oh no, as he gets a tire on the sausage curb and gets a bit squirrely again. These tires have to be crying for everybody. But it was interesting to see the midfielders are kind of, they all pit together. It seemed like one decided.
Yeah, we did see one person started it, and that was it.
Yeah. I mean, it's a good idea. Sometimes if you still have the life and the pace, you can try to outlast a little bit longer. But at the same time, if you're having a close race, it may be worth it for you to just say, all right, I'm going to follow this guy in. And hopefully these guys remember to fuel up. I think we had someone, one of these races, they didn't fuel up enough, and they ran out, and that equals a DNF, I believe, for disqualification.
That's exactly right. We cannot have anyone using the limp mode to cut back to the pits. So what that does, that counts as a DNF. They have to just pull over and quit the race. They can spectate it, sure, but they cannot race any longer.
That's correct. Yeah, and so definitely want to make sure that you can put enough fuel in these. As Tony's back left tire is on the last string of life, Mr. Labu is pit, and so I suppose Tony said, well, let me stay out one more time, see what I can do here. I'm assuming, I was going to say Mr. Labu was going to go on hards, but it looks like they may be on mediums, if you can double check that for me.
Yes, Mr. Labu is on mediums.
Okay. I wasn't sure. Sometimes I think that at some points the game like defaults showing a medium tire, and I wasn't quite sure. But if Tony is able to put a quick lap together, he may gain some time at the end of the day. But with these worn out tires, I don't think that's going to happen. Well, I mean, you can just see as his times have really plummeted since the beginning. We had 141s earlier, and now we're just seeing 142s, 143s.
I agree. It was not to say that the race is over, because it certainly isn't, but he's going to have to pit. Those tires are they're begging for it.
Right. What wins races quite a bit is consistency, and I don't think anyone has been more consistent than Mooseman as we see him entering the pits here. Gilly's also swapping the pits. We'll put our eyes back on Tony, I suppose. Mooseman has rarely put a foot out of place, and as we see Tony entering the pits as well. All right, so that puts Demon up in fourth for now, to gain some track position as other people around him have been pitting. But he is dangerously low on fuel. His tires are screaming in pain, but he's going to go one more time, I assume, around Barcelona before he decides to relegate himself to the pits. So Mooseman is currently fueling up. It'll be interesting to see where we end up, if Demon's going to find anyone on the pit exit, but nope.
Looks like Moose was just let go. Dave Giller is just let go from the pits. Tony Cal's a little bit behind, and then we're fueling up. Mooseman, is he coming out in second?
Mooseman is coming out in second. What is it? He had a great first stint to the race, it looks like. And again, consistent. Rarely making a mistake, and that's what it allows you to do. He was in first place before he pit. Now he's down 13 seconds on a car that has yet to pit, and he's still up 5 seconds from Gilly in third. So kudos to Moose so far for a very clean and well-run race. But we still have over 35 laps to go here, so we'll see what happens.
That's exactly right. They will be having to pit again, that's for sure.
That's absolutely, yeah. Especially with that fuel wear. So it looks like Moose is on the mediums, and he didn't fuel up quite to full. I'm wondering if he's going to throw sauce back on at the end. We'll see how long these mediums can last him, or maybe he'll go on hards or mediums again. I'm interested to see this. Definitely looks like it'll be at least a 2-stop race.
Yeah, and I'll
Most
tell
of the
you what, of the
drivers.
top 4 drivers, we've got Mooseman, Giller, and Mr. Labu in mediums. Tony Carroll came out on softs.
I think he's trying to make up some time.
I think so too.
I think he's going to try to make up some time here. He's feeling the pressure, to have maybe better seconds into the race than his first here, but he can put some lap times in on the softs, I'm sure. So maybe he'll go for a 2-stop, and he's just going to try to run hards at the very end, and he'll maybe try to undercut with this pit stop back onto softs.
Yeah, we'll have to see. As in the back here, it looks like Winter Graves, who came out on the mediums, I believe, had a moment. They ended up in the dirt and down a couple of places because of it, and that's going to affect them a little bit longer than you think, because those dirty tires just do not have the traction.
No, those things like to spin for days, like a top or fidget spinner. It's just it's tough to get back on track once you get some dirty tires in this game. For sure.
Yeah, you really have to just be patient, give some time, and come back and attack it once they're cleaned up a little bit.
That's true. So I think the thing that for Tony right now, number one, he's hoping that Labu and Gilly are fighting, and he's hoping to just see that time come down between him and Labu, so he can get back in the fight for a podium. As we see here, we jump back on board with Labu. Him and Gilly not too far behind. Labu's been another driver who's been pretty consistent. I feel as far as their performance, they not really putting too many mistakes on the board, and we're not getting the penalties. They're not really doing anything wrong. So as I'm laughing at his helmet livery.
Yeah, Mr. Labu's helmet livery is a bit concerning, I'm not gonna lie. I'll tell you, Winter Graves, he did put on the medium, did I say?
Yeah.
Yeah, the mediums, and complaining about how undrivable the tires are.
The tires are undrivable.
Or the car is undrivable with those tires, I should say.
Interesting. Well, I guess that's what you get for no testing.
Yep, you know what? That's unfortunate, but you make it work if you have to. We see, again, different strategies coming out. For example, Moose stuck with mediums in the first stint, mediums in the second stint. Obviously, we're expecting them to have to pit 1 to 2 more times. The only person who has yet to pit is Tyronis in P8s, who started on the hards. Very interested to see how long they're going to play out. I think their fuel is going to outrun their tires.
I wouldn't.
Or their tires are going to outrun their fuel, rather.
I wouldn't doubt that. I really wouldn't. I think we'll actually shift. Or actually, we'll keep our eyes on Gilly right now. But is he fighting anyone at the moment down there, Tyronis?
No, it doesn't look like it. There's about 2.5 seconds in front of him and 10 seconds to the car behind him.
Oh wow. Okay, so he can kind of just payphone it right now and chill. Maybe
absolutely.
Make those tires last a little bit longer.
Yeah, I mean, I think the point with taking the hard compound tire to start trying to outlast people is to make up those spots when they're pitting. I don't know if that worked out for Tyronis. We'll have to see.
Yeah, we'll have to find out. As Labo was like, he got a great turn in on this uphill section, and he is just creeping ever closer to Gilly. But also behind him, Tony Cal has cut the difference almost in half, down from 4 seconds, or I think he was at 4.5 seconds almost, now down to just 2 seconds.
Yeah, those self-speeds seem to be working out for Tony. The clean air as well, naturally.
Absolutely, and he's sort of fighting between Gilly and Labu.
Oh, forget about it. Look at him just behind there menacingly. Today in the Formula One race, Carlos Sainz was talking about how Checo Perez was intimidating him. And I gotta say, I feel that way sometimes with Tony Cal driving up behind me in Gran Turismo.
Well, we already told the drivers, if anyone puts in a complaint for intimidation, they can throw it right in the trash bin.
No. The complaint bin.
Yeah, yes. Well, sorry, the complaint bin. Right.
Strictly about intimidation.
Let me tell you guys a secret. The complaint bin is just the trash bin.
Don't tell them that. Don't. You spoiled it.
Don't tell the drivers. Don't tell them.
Oh, well, okay. Came out on the softs. Ended up in a wall. Has some damage now. Their softs are about halfway dead on the left side. That is unfortunate. I didn't quite see what happened. It looked like it was an isolated incident, probably just on the power too soon coming out of last turn, but that is not great for them.
Well, that's going to have to change their strategy a bit. I imagine, you know, they're going to have to go ahead and pit and take care of that damage and maybe throw some hard tires on and try to get a bit of longer spin and make up places on the track, waiting for those drivers. You know, looks like Tyronis has finally pit. He's on those medium tires.
Coming out on those mediums, that's correct. Full tank of fuel for Tyronis. You know, maybe that Peugeot is pretty good on gas and tires. I haven't driven it personally. I am interested in driving every car that these drivers are getting so I can have more of a personal take on them. But I'm impressed so far, I gotta say.
Is it Peugeot or Peugeot?
I don't know. I don't want to know where Peugeot is going, so I prefer Peugeot.
I agree. I'm with you. So
something France?
something France. Baguette. We're turning lap 17 here. Mr. Labu once again keeping ever closer to Gilly down the main straight, and Tony Cal crawling up here, 1.5 seconds behind. Sooner they give us a few more laps like this, and we'll have a 3-car battle coming up here for second. And this is exactly what Tony wanted. Granted, those softs are starting to wear a bit more than the mediums of Labu.
That's right, but you know what? Maybe if Tony Cal feels like he can make up the time, you know, he's got 21 and change, 21.4 seconds to the car behind him, he could pit and use the second half of his fuel tank with another pair of softs. I don't think that's the move, but you never know. I don't know what he's thinking.
You never know. I'm going to swap down to Labu real quick. Apologize. Man, Gilly goes wide. Gilly goes wide. Is that going to open the door a bit for Mr. Labu as we're coming?
Oh, it certainly looks like it.
Oh, Labu is looking like a hungry pumpkin boy. But he stays behind. Labu looked like he may have gone a little bit wide as well. I'm not sure. He always seems to close up right at this section. I think the McLaren can maybe hold a little bit more speed, a bit closer to the apex compared to the AMG on that little uphill section. But here we go.
I agree. Yeah, it certainly looks like it.
I think maybe the AMG can, you know, even with the tow, I think the AMG has a bit pace on the straights.
The AMG, I agree, does have pace on the straights. I think its biggest weakness is slower turns, and this track is pretty well suited for it, I think. Feels a little bit twitchier, in my opinion, especially under heavy braking, but you kind of really have to learn how to drive that car. It's not totally unique versus any other competitor, but it does feel a bit more, you know, a bit more learning to do with it. That was actually my first Group 3 car choice. And then I tried the Porsche and fell in love. Yeah, the AMG that Giller is driving.
Okay, yeah. I think again it's that's similar to the R8 a bit and the Huracan like we were talking about, and even the Ford GT, which just required a bit more finesse behind the wheel compared to something else that maybe is a bit more, I don't want to say underpowered, but maybe has a bit less power or a bit more stability to itself. So as we see here, with either those soft tires didn't work, Tony Cal has switched into, you know, someone's looking the ancient one for Tony Cal. He is now half second behind Labu. Labu half second behind Giller. So Mr. Labu is going to be feeling the pressure. He wants to attack, but he's also going to have to defend. As it looks like Tony has a great line through that first turn, and he is right up behind Labu. He is smelling the pumpkin scratch and sniff sticker on his rear bumper.
It's not pumpkin spice season yet, but for Tony Cal, he is turning up the heat on Mr. Labu. Let's see if they can keep it clean. I'm sure they will. They've both been impressive in that matter. Have good racecraft. Mr. Labu with the nice 69. Tony Cal coming down the main street, one tire in the dirt, has a run. Let's see if it's going to turn into anything coming down into turn 1.
I think if he doesn't take him here, he's going to be patient and wait another lap.
I think so too. Let's see. He doesn't seem to be making a move just yet. I'm very surprised by that, but hey, maybe thinking about his tires and just trying to close that gap again. Continuing on with Tony Cal and Mr. Labu. This is really a three-way fight for second place currently.
Currently, as Tony Cal pulls alongside Mr. Labu, pulls right in front as he's going to get the inside on this next turn here, and Tony Cal takes third place. Let's see if he's able to maintain. Mr. Labu now is going to be getting the tow as we go into these next few corners. But there isn't really a straight that he's going to be able to make most of that tow for another couple of turns here. So Tony Cow may be able to pull ahead here with those soft tires, but is it going to be enough to A, catch Gilly now, and B, is it going to be enough to, he's going to be out last. Those tires do not look super healthy. So all this fighting could be for nothing almost.
Yeah, it could be for nothing. Although, with them all towing each other through this, it's just further separated from the pack. But I'll tell you, with Tony Cal on those softs, we're seeing someone else that pitted before came in. They pitted for softs the first time around. Okay is coming in.
Oh no, as Tony gets a penalty, a 1 second penalty.
Oh, that is not good.
That must have been, I imagine the track limits there. That is horrible. That is not what you want to see. I wonder if he's going to go ahead and pit at this point or what. No, he's going to stay out.
He's going to stay out, try to make the most of those softs, I think. This is probably his last lap on them and try to eat up as much of that second penalty as he can.
That is brutal. He was racing so hard.
Right behind them, you could just barely see there for a second. Okay is coming out of the pits on hards now. So this is their third compound change. They started on mediums with the softs and now hards. Will they try to run the rest of the race on those hards? I don't think so. I think they're going to do maybe a long stint on those hards, but the tire wear is quite high. The degradation on this track, as we mentioned before, is very high. It eats up tires.
Yeah, I don't think he'll be able to last a while, I think, on those, but definitely not the full 30 laps, unless he likes dead tires.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of them, to be honest. I'd like to tell him to get a grip.
Oh, where's
another knee slapper for you?
We're going to have to get a fucking soundboard for us. a little jump, get a little,
Discord does have that built in now, so.
That's true. I guess we'll have to start adding those soon. But Tony Cow getting slippery on those worn softs, and plus that 1 second penalty is going to give Labu, I guess, second place. While you were talking, did we miss a mistake by Gilly or what?
We must have missed something there. Yeah, I wonder. Yeah, Gilly's got some front end damage there.
Oof.
Must not have been too kind to himself.
See what happens when you start making bad jokes, man? We missed the action that's literally right in front of us.
Well,
Well, that's, I suppose, good news for Labu, I suppose, and Tony Cow. And again, the band benefiting from other people battling is Moose, who's now pulled 13 seconds ahead of second place. So this man is just trying to walk away. Those mediums still have quite a bit of life to them, it seems like. So, his fuel may be but I'm sure he's going to end up doing some fuel saving as well. So it'll be interesting to see where he ends up here. Tony Cal in the pits, Dave Giller in the not Dave, but just Gilly in the pits. That's not calling.
Yeah, we'll see what they come out on. Yeah, I always confuse it with Dave, but it's actually DVAE. DeVere, Giller.
This puts Purple up in third, just as far as track, placement goes, and Yuma up to fourth. Oh,
Tony Cal coming out on the mediums,
right behind Yuma and in front of Demon. So he's kind of like smack in the middle of them.
Giller coming out on the softs.
Gilly coming out in the softs. This man wants to race.
That's it. He's here for it. I think he liked his performance on the softs.
Hey, he did. Listen, maybe he's committing to it. He is on full fuel though, so I don't know how long the fuel's gonna last him, or if he's, he'll probably end up doing another compound change, maybe without fueling. I'm not really sure. So this was second stop. Are we looking at a 3-stop for some of these guys? Maybe a 4-stop for some drivers?
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a 4-stopper for some of them. We're at lap 21. Tony Cal is on his third set of tires.
Yeah, we just saw Sakio in pits. Delps in the pits.
Sakio came out on mediums now. I believe that's their third stop. Yeah, they're doing a similar strategy to Tony Cal, where they started on mediums with the softs and now we're back on mediums. I just think they were not given or seeing the maybe the performance or longevity from those softs.
Yeah, I think around this track, the softs are just really, really tough to make the most use out of. But if they're only going to last, a small handful of laps, as we saw with Tony Cal, he did work to catch up and fight with Labu and Giller, but at the end of the day, those tires were just screaming, and he had to concede and pit earlier than Labu. So Labu's gonna hold second, and now Labu, if we're gonna jump back up to Labu real quick, he's still got life in those mediums. He's at a quarter tank of gas. He can keep going. He's not really worried about Moose right now, right? I don't think he's concerned about catching Moose.
No, I don't think so. I think Mr. Labu knows they're in their own race, or I should say Moose isn't their main focus, right? But just put their head down right now, keep it clean, maybe do some fuel management, tire management, because they have the space. They have 30 seconds to Purple Oracle in P3.
Yeah, it's a lot of time. That's almost a free pit stop here, I think.
I think that is a free pit stop around here.
Maybe not with fuel, but certainly with just tires. But he's going to have to fuel up, so,
Speaking of fuel, we saw Delpis a few moments ago come into the pit, not for tires, purely for fuel. They're on hards. They still have about 50% of their life left, and looks like they're just going to be pushing hard on those and burning up more fuel. I'm curious to see what their strategy is going to be in that Viper of theirs.
That is interesting, to not take time to do the tires while you're doing fuel. I don't know how much time that actually saves in the game, but to me, you would almost just want, even if you're going to swap to another set of hards, just get that fresh rubber on the car and, be able to extend. Because at this point, he's really going to be like mismatching his fuel with his tire wear.
Yeah, I got to agree with you there. It's we'll see how it plays out. If I maybe wouldn't have fueled up to full because I don't like running my tires to absolute zero, but we'll see how it plays out for them.
Yeah, hey, I'm not the one driving, so we'll see.
I will say, Winter Graves came into the pits and they came out right in front of Moose Man. They're beating away at the blue flags, but they're not giving it up. I don't know if this is because Moose Man simply can't make a move or what. If you're unlapping yourself, you are allowed to fight. But as Winter gets a 1 second penalty now, I'm not quite sure what for, maybe track limits in a couple of corners, that spot will naturally be given to Moose Man once they are forced to slow down.
That's unfortunate. You don't want to be getting a penalty while you're fighting for someone that's in not even your fight. That's
I agree. It's not your race,
Yeah. That's unfortunate. Maybe they didn't see the flags, or I don't know what it could have transpired there. Like you said, maybe Moose just didn't have the pace or grip to really make a move, which I would find kind of surprising. But at the same time, you don't want to fight. That's not who you're fighting. So why are you going to bother wasting your resources on that?
Yeah, especially with Winter and Tyronis right in front of Moose. They're coming down the main street. They're too. I'm just very confused by what I'm seeing here. It doesn't seem like they're respecting the blue flag. I'm gonna take note of this. We could look back at it later. I mean, Moose's tires are pretty shot. They're very low on fuel, so chances are they're coming in at the end of this lap. But blue flags are blue flags.
Yeah, it's also probably tough with Gran Turismo's setting, just as far as it's just showing blue flag. Maybe these guys aren't aware of who the blue flag is for, even though it says right next to your name, like what place you're in. I'm not really sure, but definitely something to note that we'll have to look into later. And obviously, as Mooseman, you don't want to impede on someone else's race either. If you're the leading car, it's not like you want to get in between two other, fights, basically, right? He doesn't want to be involved in this at all. But if he's just kind of hanging out, he doesn't, have, like you said, maybe he's not using his pace to get around it, then it is what it is. As we see, I think Winter just served a penalty there, and behind them, Sakia Sengo serving a penalty. So hopefully that'll give them a little bit of breathing room here and allow them to not fight around Mooseman.
Yeah, it's interesting, and it's just something that we'll have to note and talk to the drivers about, making sure that they are respecting those blue flags. As we see Giller, I just noticed going around. Again, they fueled up. They're on the softs. They got another second penalty here. They are up in P5 right behind Demon, who is going to have to pit, sometime. Their tires still have life, but it's not a good way to make up your time to where you were previously.
That's unfortunate. Yeah, I mean, again, we've seen that a couple times from Giller, though. I don't know if it's just the wear as this thing goes on.
Oh, speaking of which, Demon goes off in front of Giller.
Demon goes off. Oh, and can you mark down lap 24 with Winter and with Tyronis?
Absolutely.
I saw them racing pretty close. I didn't get to talk to them quick enough, but I hope that was not any contact that forced Tyronis into a spin. But we just want to make sure. we'll mark that down and get the driver's perspective later. As Tyrone ends up going wide, he's probably a little upset from whatever caused him to go off before. He's trying to get back on. But again, like you said, those dirty tires, once they get the gravel and dirt on them, it takes a couple of corners to get that off and for your tires to kind of reset back to where they're gripping properly. Real quick, we'll run through the rest of the grid here. Will okay, one on the hards. Kind of by himself, 25 seconds behind Tyronis in 11th, and 5 seconds in front of Delps. And Delps is rounding out the pack in 13th in his Viper. Right now, he looks like he's being lapped by Moose a bit earlier. So Moose, so now that we have our eyes back on the front of the pack here, I feel like Tony Cal is in second. 9 seconds behind Moose, about 4.5 to 5 seconds.
I'll tell you, Moose, even despite that stuff with Tyronis and Winter, still had a free pit stop in front of Tony Cal.
That's crazy.
It is. It's wild to see.
Now, and he's on hards now as well, so.
That's correct. Yeah, he's going for the long stint here. Still, we're at the halfway point, so we'll see another 2 to 3 tire changes for sure. This is it's a lot, but this is where strategy really can come into play, right?
Oh, absolutely. You know, and not only just strategy, but skill of the driver to be able to save those tires and save on fuel. You know, you got lift and coast sometimes, short shifting, which can actually do more than just the fuel settings in the game, which is kind of wild, right?
It is. It really is something else, and you have to balance it all. You have to balance how much throttle you're giving it, your lift and coast, your short shifting for sure, and even how much you're downshifting to rotate your car around the corners. Because if you're downshifting, as high as Unwell OK goes off the track there, it looks like. But I was going to say, you're downshifting to help rotate your car around the corner sometimes, but it's just more wear and tear on the car and possibly more fuel, right? You're up in the higher RPMs of the engine, burning up more fuel as you do so, even if it's for a second around this track or any track and 50 laps of it. It could be a huge net loss for your fuel.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. And so we see here, Tony's coming into traffic with Delps here, who will be getting the blue flag sooner than later, I'm sure, and I'll have to give way for Tony, who seems to be, he's got some pace at the moment on those mediums.
Yeah, Tony seems to be liking those mediums, which is good. I think the softs may have been wearing out too quickly for them, but the mediums seem to be doing well right now.
Absolutely. So I wonder here if, Tony's going to get, there we go. Okay, Delps signaling over that he moves over to let Tony go by. Excellent.
That's what we like to see.
Very nice, very nice. And Tony gonna go uphill, and he's still chasing Moose, but they got about 7.5 seconds between the two of them, almost 8 seconds. Labu chasing Tony, and I'm sure he'll be hitting some traffic soon. About 5 seconds behind. So if he maintains his pace, he'll be meeting Delps, the back of Delps soon here. And if Delps gives away just the same way he did with Tony and Moose earlier, then all the better for Labu to be able to get a clean run. We're going to shift down to Gilly over here. We're Gilly really in no man's land. Wow, the gap between Gilly and fifth, Phoenix Dragon and fifth is substantial. That's pretty much a pit stop right there, right?
Yeah, that is more than a free pit stop right there.
Yeah, I mean, not that, I know Gilly wants to be fighting for the podium, so I'm sure he's doing what he can to catch Labu, and he's on those softs. So we'll have to keep an eye on the delta between these two and see if Gilly's able to bring that time down, which it looks like he is currently having. I don't know if maybe Labu had a mistake there, but time has gone down like a full second since we first swapped to him, or either Gilly's just on a hell of a lap right now, putting purple into sector 1.
Yeah, no, it looks like Gilly's having some good pace. I noticed in a lap or two before he was putting in a couple purple sectors. So,
very nice.
Yeah, it looks like those softs are in a good spot. His car is obviously lightening up as well as his fuel is burning off, and he's got the free air. You might as well make it work.
Might as well, and again, it seems like Gilly really has been making good use of his tires and his fuel, whereas we see some other cars burning through one or the other. He seems to be doing a great job of maintaining both as we get yet another purple sector from Gilly as he makes the left hairpin going up this small hill. try to make a straight line through that corner, and then you need to be super patient and just hug the curb on that right-hander, and then full throttle as soon as you can out of it, and you really maybe a dab of brakes onto the penultimate corner, and the same thing, maybe a dab of brakes going into the no chicane here as he goes around. Let's see where this lap ends up. They are worn tires, so it's not a new it's not a new best, but very, very close. Losing just a bit of time in the final sector. So kudos.
Yeah, it looks like he lost 2/10 in that sector there.
Yeah, but I mean, otherwise that was a fantastic lap by him, and he'll probably continue to try churning those out as long as he's not running into any sort of traffic here. He is gaining on Labu now, 3 seconds. So you know, maybe in a couple of laps we'll see him get caught up, but he is going to be running into traffic as we see in front of him with Delps, and then we saw Labu at the very beginning of that shot. So I don't know, but I don't know if those tires are going to last long enough for him to be in fighting, or if maybe he'll have to end up undercutting. I guess technically, you know, he has to pit sooner because of his tires. If he can undercut Labu and they end up beating together when Labu hits once again, I'm not really sure, but it'll be interesting to see where this all ends up in about another 20 laps or so at the end of it. We're going to continue on down real quick with Phoenix Dragon in 5th. Really not concerned about Gilly at this moment in time, but running a good race overall for someone who, you know, was really unsure of themselves entering the weekend. You know, I don't know how much practice they were able to get in on this BMW, but it seems to be serving them pretty well, as they are about 3.5 seconds ahead of Purple Urkel down in 6th place in that lovely Renault livery. The blacked out headlights and everything. I love this thing, man.
Yeah, that black and gold looks proper good. And Urkel, you know, we haven't seen too much of them either, but they're doing well. And, you know, going back to Phoenix Dragon or Yuma, like you said, they were pretty down on themselves in how they were shaping up, but they started P7, up in P5 right now. We still have a lot of the race to go, but looking well and clean racing, and that's what we like to see again. The cleaner you are, obviously, the faster it's going to aid to your track times, but it's just fun to play with people and race against people that are in the same mindset as you, right?
Absolutely. And I also think racing with people that are better than you is a great way to learn.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's not only just racing, but in general, being surrounded by people that are
maybe where you want to be.
Yeah, where you want to be. Just it's in my opinion, it's one of the best things that you can do is surround yourself by people who are where you want to be, whether that comes to racing or life in general. But as far as racing goes, you definitely want to be able to surrounded by them so you can copy their lines and say, so that's what you're doing. I mean, maybe I need to downshift here or upshift here to get more traction out of the corner. Or, oh, wow, you can take a lot more speed through this turn than I thought. Okay, so maybe I don't want to downshift there. It's really amazing what you can learn just by even watching the replays or the ghosts of these players, and having a small community like we do for these guys. You know, everyone's helpful. Everyone just wants, at least so far from what we've seen, everyone wants everyone to be the best and to have a good time while they're doing it. So I'm happy to see that Phoenix is having a good race. We can continue on down here with Winter Graves, who, you know, in the beginning of the race, they started 5th, and they were just holding on to the front train before they took a spill into the gravel. And unfortunately, you know, they're down here in 7th, not too far from where they started, but it's I'm sure that they're kind of kicking themselves for that.
Yeah, you know, it was unfortunate. It is the first full race of our season, and, you know, it's definitely, I'm sure, taking some adjusting to not just us, but the drivers too, right? Especially the drivers. They're in this. They are going hard on for 50 laps in this circuit, and it's a lot. It's a lot mentally, physically, as much as it might not feel like it. Even on a controller, man, I'll tell you, I played for about 4 hours when I first got my PS5. My hands were shot the next day. So it just takes its toll mentally, physically, no matter what. You know, we're not driving around in a real car naturally, and kudos to all those drivers, but it's just a different beast, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. And just rounding it out here, actually, Winter Graves is coming up on purple, looks like, so they may have a fight here soon enough. Behind Winter, we got Sakea, who's had a handful of penalties from what I've noticed Every time we
Yeah,
we
a
do
few
turn
of the
to
back
them.
markers have been having good handful of penalties. You know, I think a lot of it is probably coming from track limits.
Yeah, I mean, definitely track limits can be hard here when you're trying to take as much speed as possible into some of these turns, especially like the penultimate turn and the no chicane, the final turn. If you're trying to take as much speed as possible into it, it's very easy to have a tire over the white line and then boom, you're hit with a half-second or second penalty. And that's no
Oh,
fun.
absolutely. Yeah, and it can really ruin your race. You got a half-second penalty here, half there. You know, we've seen already where people are getting 1 second penalties around an entire lap, and it's just not. It's hurting them. Actually, speaking of penalties, you see Tyronis here coming up on Well OK. Fantastic run down the main straight, and it looks like they're likely going to take them into turn 1 here, as they're already a car in front. Braking earlier than Well OK. Looking like they may have cut the corner there. We'll see if track limits kicks in for Tyronis. But previously, Tyronis had a run on Delps down from P13 to P12, and Delps had a half-second penalty, I should say, and that's what gave Tyronis a spot. Delps since then has come in and pit from and they're now on their third set of tires. But it looks like Tyronis' strategy of starting on the hards is maybe working out for them right now. Their mediums are doing very well as well.
Yeah, that was a fantastic move by Tyronis to be able to capitalize on Well OK, who they went wide at the exit of the final turn, and just forced the door open for Tyronis, and he had a great run and broke really late into P1 and was able to even go up on the inside still. Looks like Well OK gave them the room and to make that move happen. So kudos to both racers for being respectful, but kudos to Tyronis for really making the most of that mistake. So we're going to continue down the line. Well, that's the end of the line, actually.
Yes, Mooseman's coming down the straight, followed by Tony Cal. Looks like that gap is really not diminishing between Tony Cal, who is on a mediums, versus the hards that Moose is running, and Tony Cal is going to have to pit much sooner than Mooseman. It's not going to help him out there. Well, and actually, I was going to talk about Giller as well, who was following up in Mr. Labu, and Giller was on those softs, and Giller's actually in the pits now.
I think the time's actually come down. I think earlier it was like 7 seconds. I could be wrong.
Okay, I was checking intermittently. It looked like I was staying around that 4.7 or 5 second mark.
I could be wrong.
No, I mean it's very likely that Tony Cal brought it down.
But wow, yeah, those tires are not looking great. But again, that's what you get for pushing really hard. Mooseman probably been trying to nurse those hards a bit, make them last as long as possible. I don't think they're going to be able to make the rest of the race, but and if he is able to make the rest of the race, then kudos. Unfortunately, we see Tony Cal getting a track limits penalty there. Not what he wanted with Labu, 5 seconds behind.
And Mooseman, though, too, up there, too.
Mooseman also got
both of them with penalties.
Wow. Mooseman, that's definitely not what he wanted either, but if they're both going to be serving the same thing, I wonder if Tony Cal's, we saw this with the last stint of tires that Tony had, where he was going to turn another lap with a 1 second penalty as his tires were dying. I wonder if he's going to be doing the same thing this time, or if he's going to look to pit before, and then, before, and that's exactly what he does. He goes to pit. We'll see what he turns it back out on as we turn to Mr. Labu now. Well, Mr. Labu is probably close to, as you can say, 9 or 10 seconds behind Mooseman. Now up in second, though. He's on the medium as well, but his mediums are healthier than what Tony Cal had on. And while Mooseman's on those hards, maybe Labu's able to get some more pace out of these mediums and be able to catch him a bit. But if he's going to be running these tires through their paces, then I don't see how. Again, I don't see how the tires are going to last as far as catching Moose and then being able to fight. If he catches Moose on these tires, there's not going to be any life in them to fight.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And I don't know. 9 seconds is a lot of time to make up, especially as Mooseman, we've seen, is terribly consistent. Labu's been terribly consistent as well, but those tires are just going to deck faster and faster. I do believe we lost someone. It looks like Delp is complaining about their car in Twitch chat. Delpis, feel free to talk to us some more about what you didn't like about that Viper, if you're still watching.
Delps, did you end up just leaving the lobby because of that, or
did you rage quit?
You don't like to see that, unfortunately.
No, we don't. I understand being frustrated with the car, though. That's for sure.
Oh, yeah, forget about it. I know that's the we put these rules into place though, where only two drivers per manufacturer. So unfortunately, if we had some late signups, we had to close certain manufacturers, preferred manufacturers. I know that was first Porsche, but I believe we had 2 drivers on the Porsche already. So we're gonna continue on following these, and if Scopes gets back to us if they're around, we'll have to hear what they have to say. While we're putting down another lap here, Tony Cal looks like they are back on the soft.
And not fully fueled up.
So he
trying to make up those. Yeah, he trying to make up some pace on those. Lighten your car already by not coming out on a full tank of fuel, I should say, and really gonna just destroy those softs. I think.
Oh, I think he's going to try to destroy the softs and try to gain as much time as possible in the stint. It's funny because, oh man, he goes a little wide, but I don't think he'll get caught on track. Track limits there. It's funny because you really want to stop as little as possible, right? But he seems to be stopping quite a bit, and he's still in third. So he's got, he's got the place on track currently, and he's got pace to be able to keep it. Now he is 10 seconds ahead of Giller, who is on basically fresh softs as well. So it'll be interesting to see if Giller is able to put any sort of dent into the time difference between the two. Now Gilly is about 13 seconds ahead of Phoenix behind him, so he doesn't really have to worry about that. He can just worry about putting in quick laps. And listen, he's the one currently with another fastest purple sector for him, and he's the one currently holding the fastest lap as well. So I'm sure he's going to want to try to maintain that as the race goes on.
Absolutely, and you mentioned about pitting several times. Tony Cal was the third driver to come in for their fourth set of tires, I should say, rather third pit stop. Unwell OK just completed their third pit stop, fourth set of tires, and now looks like winter. So drivers just finding that need to do so. Looks like more and more are sticking to the mediums and the softs rather than the hards at this point, though.
Yeah, I can imagine maybe at lap 40 or something like that, maybe drivers will start, if they have to pit again, or even fuel up, maybe just grab a set of hards and try to outlast everyone else, and burn those for as long as they can. But it'll be interesting to see. We're going to cut up the Moose real quick and see how his tires are looking, because again, those tires might outlast his fuel, but he's still 9 seconds above Labu in second place, and now these are still his third set of tires. So it could be a setup difference, could be a car difference, driving difference, but it looks like so far this strategy has played out the best for him.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I was just looking at different people. It looks like Unwell OK was having a run, even though he's in P12, was having a run up on who's in P6 purple, but it looks like the gap was increased a little bit. Yeah, those hards are really working out for Moose, I think. Moose went medium to hards, and look at, really, again, the tires are going to outlast their fuel, it looks like. And let's just say that they had to pit for fuel. I'm not sure how many more laps, but even in 5-10 laps, at that, if they had to go for fuel in 10 laps, I say throw on the mediums and call it a day, personally.
I agree. I think at that point he'd be more than safe, and if he gets a little bit extra pace, we see a new fast lap done by Tony Cal, a 140.593. Gilly's going to want to be taking that back, especially if he's going to be, I don't want to say stuck down in fourth place. That's still a really good result, but it's no podium. And as you said earlier, we do give out bonus points for the fastest lap. So if the places were to stay as they are currently, Tony Cal will be taking third place plus fastest lap, plus he began the point for quali, having pole in quali.
That's right. I'm just looking back on that little, not even fight really, but between Purple Oracle in 6th and Unwell OK in 12th, and Unwell OK is the back marker who's been lapped, but Purple Urkel just can't seem to catch up to the point where I'm well okay because the fresher tire took them over and is increasing the gap now. They have successfully unlocked themselves, it looks like.
Yeah, well, good for them. You know, they gotta take those W's where you can get them. But
that's right.
I am happy to see.
It looks like it's Demon now.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Demon is now past Unwell okay.
Yeah, in that case, I'm going to mark that down. Unwell okay really should have let him over, but maybe Demon was a little impatient and just said, all right, if you're not going to move over now, I'll go around you.
That's a possibility. And, you know, Demon's earlier this morning, he was saying, I think I may be just perfectly average in this league. And, out of 12 drivers, if you're sixth, that's pretty average. But he's doing well, you know. I think Demon is someone who definitely has the possibility of being a bit faster. And I like that they've been around for the exhibition races, and they're now here this Sunday for our first series start. And hopefully they find ways to improve as the series goes on. I think what has hurt them in the past, from what they were saying, is their strategy. So if we look at Demon real quick, so far, where are they on this list? They started on the mediums, then they went to hards, and they went to hards, and they're on mediums again. It looks like currently.
Correct.
You have hards.
Oh, thank you.
So I don't know. You know, would I be upset ending up sixth if I were him? Not really. I think with this grid of drivers, you know, like I said earlier, we had a substantial second and a half gap between fourth in quality, which is Giller, and then fifth, which was Winter. You know, if I was fighting in the midfield and I ended up sixth, I'd be pretty happy with that.
Absolutely. You might want to take a look at P7 and 8. It looks like we got a fight going on here.
All right.
As Winter gets a little bit sloppy going over the curb there. Might have been some contact, but it looks like Phoenix was okay. I'll mark that down.
Phoenix does end up getting a little bit squirrely, and as Winter takes seventh place away from Phoenix on the penultimate corner, and now as we're going down into the main straight. That is, however, going to give Phoenix the toe. And I guess Winter maybe picking up a slight toe, maybe from Moose. I think they're a bit far back from that, though. And actually, unfortunately, it looks like maybe Phoenix was a bit squirrely to end up getting that toe. So they're now just under a second behind Winter. Winter, I'm sure, looking to make up some places, and that was a really good spot for them to do so.
Yeah, I agree. You know, as long as it was clean racing, and looks like they have the pace. Just want to make sure there's no incidents there, but it looks all okay.
Absolutely.
If you go up to Phoenix real quick, we can see if there's any body damage, really.
No, we're okay.
Okay, all right. Looks like no contact then was good. Looks like they escaped it.
Yeah, I was just looking at, I saw Crispy and Sango trading names here for a second. I was curious to see if there was anything going on. It looks like Sango just got the place from Crispy.
Yeah, it's really interesting right now. We're seeing a lot of these back markers fighting to unlap themselves.
Yeah, you know, I guess I think I don't want to scroll all the way back up to Moose Road right now, but I think you know, they're unlapping themselves maybe almost by getting a toe from the guys in front of them, and that's going to help their races as well. So not a bad strategy if you can use it to your advantage.
Definitely a little bit of a toe, but definitely a strategy difference, I think, is a big part of it as well. When they're pitting, when they're coming out, and just the freshness of their tires, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And we have another about 13 laps to go to see how this is going to shape up, and you know how things, I guess, will kind of fall into place as we continue here. So again, maybe a little bit wide on that exit there, but you're gonna try and get a run nice wide line going over that yellow sausage curb. Try and widen the turn as much as possible and bring as much speed in. It looks like Labu in front of them has pit, and Moose has also pit.
That's correct. Yeah, Moose was in the pits before Mr. Labu. Looks like that fuel ran out for Moose Man faster than I thought. Maybe he was pushing very hard. Let's see. Tony Cal following them into the pits.
I was just gonna say, yeah, I don't know if he's following them in. He has plenty of fuel. Maybe those soft tires were just dying and looking for a way out. That's gonna give Gilly track placement in first, but it looks like Moose is gonna be coming out of the pits just behind Gilly. So I don't think that first place is going to be his for a long time, but hopefully he's in first place for a good time. Tyronis, if Tyronis isn't quick about giving away to, follow those blue flags and giving way to Gilly, then Gilly may hit traffic and he may end up giving Moose time to catch up.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, again, we like to think and see that Tyrone. Oh, as Gilly goes a little bit sloppy coming out of there, that's his tire wear. I think coming to play or maybe trying to increase that gap, trying to, get ahead there. But Tyronis, if Giller's right there, Tyronis is gonna have to move over for those blue flags.
Yeah, absolutely. And if it's not Gilly, he's gonna be given the spot for. It'll be Moose, who's
that's exactly right.
Right behind him, and then about 14 and a half seconds behind Moose, we have Labu in third. And I imagine a similar time difference between Labu and Tony. Demon goes ahead and pits, and he starts falling down the order from 6th to 7th.
Yeah, we'll see what Demon comes out on. Demon started on the mediums, went to hards, went to mediums. I anticipate they'll stay on the mediums for the last 11 laps of this race.
Yeah, I really think this is Moose's race to lose at this point. He's proven that he's been doing very, very well. As far as tire management goes and fuel management, he's got just under a full tank of gas. If he manages his fuel well, he's going to be able to maintain first place here. Once Gilly's going to have to pit, so I don't feel like he really feels the pressure to chase Gilly at this point because he I mean, maybe he doesn't know that Gilly's going to have to pit. Maybe he's going to try to push. I'm not sure.
Specs asking, so which of us gets to choose driver of the day?
Specs, Specs, you're the driver of the day in my heart, and so let that be all that matters to you.
That's right.
If we had enough viewers, let's say we could do a poll for driver of the day.
Yeah, we could definitely set that up
in
the future.
Fun. Yeah.
When we're streaming to millions of people, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's how it works. Follow these quick steps to gain a Twitch following.
Yeah, I think I saw that on a Twitter thread the other day.
Oh, you're too sweet. Stop it, you. As we're following along, like I said, I think Moose doesn't really have to concern himself with pulling ahead from Gilly. If anything, he wants to try to maintain that gap from Labu in third. We're going to go down to Labu, who's 8 seconds plus ahead of Tony Cal. This is a shame for Tony, who started off in first and it looks like maybe he had a mistake here and there, but Labu hasn't really made from what we've seen. Labu and Moose really have not put a toe out of line, and I've said it before, I'll say it again. As long as you're consistent and fit, consistency equals speed for the most part. Unless you're consistently slow, I guess. But
yeah, I mean it could be James May, Captain Slow, but yeah, no, really consistency is going to be one of your best friends through here. And we've done it before. We've gone down and looked at consistent lap times from people, the leaders, typically Mooseman, and it's a big difference when you see that you're consistent lap after lap after lap. It just allows you to get you're comfortable. I think it shows that you're really comfortable in the car and around the track, and even if you're fighting people and you're able to keep up those lap times.
Absolutely, and we'll be here to see you here. Giller is probably in his last pit stop. He's fueling up. I assume he'll be on the mediums like the rest of the track here, but that gives Tony Cal third place, and he's going to be quite a few seconds ahead of Giller here. 9 seconds, almost 10 seconds maybe. So Giller
coming out on the softs again.
Giller on those softs. He is going on attack mode. He wants that fast lap. But he's going to have to make these things last another 9 laps. That's quite a long time, I think, on these softs here at Barcelona.
Yeah, and our testing, I don't remember getting that many laps out of them.
No, he's proven, though, to be good on the tire wear, so we'll see how he does. And so he's about 9.5, 10 seconds behind Tony Cal, and he's got Winter 31 seconds behind. So I think he's just concerned about third place. I think he's going to be pushing, trying to obtain that towards the end of the race. Maybe he'll try and do tire saving here early on, and then just try and push it for the last few laps. But 9 seconds to 10 seconds is quite large.
Yeah, that's a lot of time to make up on. While Tony.
Sorry, I just happened to see that 3-second penalty for Crispy. Ooh, it's a shame. I don't think he got ghosted there, so it's a shame he was on
The racing line.
He wasn't really on the racing line, I guess, but yeah.
Yeah, it's something that we'll have to mention to the drivers, especially if you're going to take a penalty where it's an automatic slowdown, you got to get to the off line.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I saw Crispy unfortunately lose his P9, and then he had that penalty. It just didn't help him out. And after he got the penalty, he continued to be just a little squirrely, and that's after pitting for fresh softs. So, wow. Very surprising to see. Yeah, not a great outlap.
No, but you know what? Again, he's swapped cars a few times. I wouldn't be surprised if he really needed this race to try and get the car underneath him and feel a bit more comfortable in it. So we'll see what happens with the next race when he has some more time in the seat and he can really start getting the most out of it. As we're going to keep our eyes on Gilly's time difference, the delta between Gilly and Tony. Tony looks like he is slowly gaining maybe on Wabu a bit here. So we may end up having a fight at the very end here for second if Tony Cal can really be putting the pace up on Labu. But Boostman, 17 seconds, man. He's payphoning right now. He doesn't have a care in the world really. He just has to bring it home, I feel like.
Yeah, really no need to put any toll out of line. He's on the mediums and he's still got 3/4 of a fuel tank, so fastest lap really isn't in his ballpark. I mean, if he wants to push and increase his gap and maybe go for fastest lap, he could, but at this rate, if I were him, I would just take those points for P1.
Yeah, real quick, we're going to stop over to where I see two cars close to each other. Did I go the wrong way? I think I did. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, you're looking for P6 and 7.
Here we are. This is what I was looking
7
for.
7 and 8. Yes. I was going to say, I've been watching this while you're on the main feed. Sakia's on much older softs than Demon is, so I really don't see this playing out for Sakia. Demon, if I were him, or them rather, I would just ride it out. Sakia will have to pit before the race ends, and you're going to get a free place. So right now, manage those tires, just keep them in place,
Yeah, I didn't even get to look at saying those tire wear, but if, like you said, he's going to have to pit, or even just if they're that worn, he's going to be losing pace quite a bit faster. And, Demon's softs are a little bit worn, and we still have 8 laps to go, so he's going to want to nurse those and just kind of take that spot when it comes to it. He's got to be patient. But it looks like that
he's going for
already.
it.
That door is open already, as Sakia may have gone a little bit wide, didn't go too defensive on the inside of the apex, and that just let Demon say, you know what, I'll take that place right now from you. Thank you very much, sir. And,
absolutely right. And looking elsewhere, I see Mr. Laba's got a second penalty here. Just going to let Tony Cal continue to close that gap.
Tony is getting hungry, and as we see Sakia pit there, and Demon is going to make the most of that pit stop.
Yeah, Tony, Cal, and Mr. Labu are both on mediums, so, if Labu's feeling the pressure, it may not work out for him. We'll have to see.
No, it'll be interesting to see, like I said, with seven laps to go or so, and the time between Gilly and Tony has not really changed much. Giller maybe had to have him say he's happy with 4th place at this point. But Tony Cal definitely looking to go after Labu. It seems like he's
I
upset.
can't blame him.
No, not at all. And he got fastest lap still as well. So, I think he sees Labu in the distant, just in front of him basically, and especially down that main straight, you're able to keep your eye on them and kind of say, all right, I'm going after him.
Yeah, it feels even better.
So I am glad to see, though, looking at our notes, that we haven't, and hopefully we haven't missed much. I know you've probably been going back and forth with perspectives a bit more than we have on this on the main feed. As Tony Cal sets a purple sector. Surprise.
You'll love to see it.
I sound surprised, don't I?
Yeah, I mean, we've seen it from him in the preseason testing. Again, those top 4 drivers. Winter, surprisingly, I feel like I've seen Winter have some more pace in the past, but maybe I'm thinking of someone else. Or again, they said they haven't had time to put in much practice yet. So
interesting to see that both Winter and Phoenix are pitting once again. Winter looks like maybe they need fuel. I don't know their tire wear looks like, but with 6 laps to go, I wonder where that's going to put them. With Demon behind them, looks like Demon now taking 5th. Demon will maybe eventually be at a point where, you know, either they're fighting with Phoenix or Winter for that spot. I'm not really sure, but
I'll tell you right now, there's a good gap from P8 to P9, so
okay.
It looks like that pit was safe for them to stay out of there. Does look like they'll have some fighting though between Purple, Demon, and was it Phoenix that pitted? Yes.
Yep. Listen, as we continue to see this time from Tony Cal and Labu go down, and actually it looks like Gilly's made up a little bit of time here as well. He's at about 8.5 seconds or so. I don't think that's going to be enough. If Tony doesn't end up catching Labu, I think it'll be because of a mistake from Labu. Labu had that penalty like you mentioned earlier, and you know, a 1 second penalty is closer to what 2-3 seconds maybe, depending on where it is on the track.
Depending on where it is on the track, you know, thankfully on this track where the penalty line is, where you're forced to slow down, you're coming into it's on a short straight, but you're coming into a hairpin anyway, and a tight turn. So, is it the most punishing? No, it could definitely be worse. I think of like Watkins Glen, you're going uphill, down and that's at the beginning of the straight, and that's a bit more punishing because it's just going to ruin any momentum that you have.
Yeah, well, this one too is also at the corner exit, though, kind of. So, you know, it's like you start ramping up, and then I got to slow down again, and probably go down a gear depending on the length of the penalty to slow down.
I'll say, there's a good fight for P6 right now between Purple Urkel, I should say, and Phoenix. Phoenix on fresh softs.
I like how everyone's got these yellow highlights too. I just gotta mention it. Oh wow, yeah, Phoenix can get the run on Purple in his Renault, and they are side by side going down the main straight. Now Phoenix has got to do a good job here. He can't outbrake himself. He's gonna want to take the inside line, I think. He doesn't want to force Purple wide here at the turn one. Let's see how he does. Carries some great speed into that little chicane there, and it looks like he's going to take 6th place from Purple. That was a great move by Phoenix.
Absolutely, yeah, that was clean driving right there. Good job, Phoenix. We like to see that.
Sorry, excuse me. It'll be interesting to see if Purple is able to take that position back or kind of keep up. But it seems like right now he's maintaining less than a second. As I say that, he starts dropping down a little bit more. But he did say we're gonna take a look at Purple's tires. Yeah, they're a bit more worn, and he's on the mediums. So Phoenix definitely has the tire
upper hand there.
Yeah. So I think Phoenix may be able to take this and walk away as he's now increasing that gap to 1.5 seconds. Let's keep our eye on these two real quick as we're going to be finishing up the lap 45.
Winter catching up there right behind too.
Winter
not far behind Purple Urkel.
Not at all, actually.
Yeah, it looks like we're having a good fight there. I've been watching Tony Cal and Mr. Labu. The gap is still 2.7 seconds between Tony Cal and Mr. Labu, so doesn't seem to be doing anything there.
But I mean, it's dropping. It was 3 seconds, so.
Oh yeah, it is dropping. It's coming down. I don't know if 5 laps is enough to see it happen.
Yeah, I'm not sure. It'll be close if it is.
Yeah, especially Tony Cal's pushing those softs. They're both about the same fuel level, but Tony's tires are looking a little bit worse off.
I'm sure he's on those softs, so and he's had the softs on. By the end of the race, I think it'll be 11 laps, and if he's pushing on those softs, then it's not gonna. It'll kind of spell disaster maybe. But just like Demon, I mean, he's lucky he's got 9 seconds and change from Phoenix in 6th, but he's on these softs that are starting to cry out in pain.
Yeah, I was just looking at that myself. It's 9 seconds again, and in 4 laps is a lot, but it takes one slip up because your tires are wearing down, especially that rear left. We're looking at it, and that has been my problem point in the Porsche as well. Around this track.
Yeah, this track in particular, it's rough on the left side, but the rear left seems to really get hurt as you go on. So if he's able to make this through to the end of the race, I will applaud him for that, because that's, really getting the most out of your strategy and your tires and your resources. So, but he's really just got to focus on not wearing those things down too much, and he's not.
Yeah, it looks like he's even short shifting there a little bit.
Yeah, I think he's got to make sure that he's not using too much fuel.
Absolutely, and that's okay. I feel very. I know the Porsche pretty well, so we'll see how far he's pushing these gears coming down the main straight and everything. But again, that rear left, man, put one push too hard.
Yeah,
So
I mean,
we are spell disaster.
We are seeing Phoenix on these newer softs. You know, time is slowly coming down between him and Beaton, while the time between it looks like Winter did end up taking Purple Oracle for 7th. So now about 4 seconds between Phoenix and Winter Graves. I don't know if Winter's gonna be able to catch Phoenix. Phoenix seems to be rising from the ashes and on fire for the final stint of this race. Lap 47 out of 50 coming soon to a close here, and I gotta say kudos to Phoenix. I think they've had a good race. They made the right tire calls, and you know the battles that they've had, it looks like they kind of kept it calm and kept it collected. The kudos.
I agree. No, they've had a fantastic race, and I'm keeping an eye on Mr. Lobby and Tony Cow. That gap now right around the 1.2 second mark.
Oh, wow.
It's closing in. It's closing in with just 1.5 laps really to go.
Here we go. You know, and I mean, Gilly's closing the time to on Tony. They're down to 4 seconds. I don't know. I mean, listen, if Tony catches Lobby within this next lap, down to a second here. Now, is that going to open the door for Giller to come through? And while Tony Cal and Labo are fighting, maybe he'll be able to find a spot somewhere. That would be pretty amazing. But I mean, you know, I'm looking at Labo's tires. They're not that much better than Tony Cal's. They're almost equal.
They're really not. And Tony Cal's right up there now. I think Mr. Labu is trying to take care of those tires a little bit too much. But like you said, if we see a lot of defensive driving come from Labu, it's going to just slow them up and give Giller. As Tony Cal's coming on the inside, Mr. Labu goes wide. A little glove tap there. It seems all is okay. Coming down the main street, Mr. Labu, that's it. There it is, Tony Cal coming down the main street. Doesn't matter. Labu's got that half-second penalty now.
That was, man, Labu going wide there just definitely gave the position. He went wide twice and got the penalty. He's handing that position to Tony Cal. Not even much fighting at this point for it. I don't know if Labu was going to have the pace to try to keep up or what, but that just means that for Giller, who is now just a second behind, Labu may be forced off the podium due to that mistake.
I think that's what we're going to see. I think Mr. Labu, who has been consistent this entire race, got intimidated by Tony Cal.
We're gonna have to mark down intimidation, I guess, now for that. That is amazing. This race is finishing the way it ended, basically. With these three fighting.
To see.
These three fighting.
Absolutely love it. I cannot believe this. The person that was in second place for how long this race?
Almost the entire race. It feels like.
Giller's coming up right behind him now, 2/10 behind as Mr. Labu is about to cross that penalty line. Slow down, forcing him to slow down.
We got our eyes on Giller as he passes by. They're getting ready to break for this hairpin going on the uphill section. Labu is still close within half a second or so, but his pace has been slowing down. I don't know if he's going to have the pace to keep up. But Giller is on those softs. Giller has a little bit less fuel as well. I'm sorry, did Labu get another penalty? He's got another penalty. Oh no,
Labu.
That's got to be it. I mean, unless Giller...
That's got to sting.
Giller has made mistakes before. We know that it's possible, but Gilly might be trying to get a run on Tony now. He's a second behind. This is the final lap as he's closing in on the straight. Just a second behind, under a second behind Tony Cal. We're coming up here onto the first turn. Giller has the tire advantage. They're both on the same fuel. Tony's mediums are a bit more worn. Tony's got to be driving very defensive here and make sure that he can keep Giller behind. Giller's going to be pushing all out on this final lap to try and catch Tony Cal.
Absolutely. He's going to be pushing that AMG hard. I know it's got the straight line pace.
It's got the legs in the straights. I don't know if the NSX has the cornering on it or what, but I think Tony Cal may be in trouble. He's got to be feeling the sweet breath down his neck as Dave Giller gets closer and closer, trying to close this gap to almost half a second. I think where you might have to take him, I mean, it's going to be a close call, I think, at the hairpin. and the final turn. If he can kind of outbrake Tony Cal or force him into a mistake, getting close to the hairpin, that might have to do it, because I feel like once they get to the penultimate corner, I don't know if he's gonna really have the toe to make most use of it. But I see that he's now down beneath a half a second diff.
As Giller is so low on fuel, getting a nice exit there. He's right behind Tony Cal, 0.2, just about 0.3 of a second. Tony Cal maybe having a better line through that turn. I do think that NSX is better in the corners. But we're coming up with the penultimate corner here. This is where it's high speed. You want to lift as little as you can. Take us around the final turn, Wally.
All right, we can't go wide here. We're gonna try and just hold it close. Tony Cal, I think he's gonna maintain second place, just barely. Not what that is incredibly close.
8/100ths of a second. Absolutely amazing to see.
Giller has got to be happy about that. Labu probably in pumpkin tears as he crosses the line in fourth. We are just going down the line here. Congrats to Mooseman on taking first place, though. A consistent race and about 27 seconds ahead of second place there. I mean, wow. That race did truly end the way it started, with Moose pulling away, and then we had Tony Cal, Giller, and Labu fighting for second place.
That's right. We have everyone else finishing up here. Demon unfortunately lost a place. He's finished at P9. His soft tires just did not make it through the end. I'm surprised they didn't try, because they lost that place while they were in the pits to Saki Asango. And behind them was Crispy Nubbins, whose softs were also shot. What a first race.
Mooseman taking the win. We're going to jump into our results here. Hopefully Tony doesn't close the lobby too quickly here. And Dave Giller ended up taking the fastest lap away from Tony Cal at the very end there, the 140.559. So he will get that fastest point lap. And Tony will end up getting the pull from quality point as well. But wow, man! I mean, what a race! What a first race of the series here. I was happy to see a lot of respectful driving from all the drivers. I don't think, hopefully we don't hear from too many of them that we missed any major incidents or anything like that. But I think most of the incidents were probably self made. But wow, that was fantastic.
Absolutely. A lot of the way through, we did have just like any race, a little bit of a dead spot, but the end, that just ramped up so much. That was a blast to see, and fights throughout the grid positions, really.
Oh no, I can't even see the second page of the results now. Tony Cal and ruining the lobby. I can't see what the results. Well, we're gonna have to yell at him for that, because as we all know, the commentators are the stewards, and I'm gonna have to give him a penalty point for
yeah, I think so,
ending the game here. I think
so.
But I guess on that bombshell, thank you to everyone for joining us for our very first race. We will be back here next weekend with our first race of the MX5 Cup Series, and we'll be racing at Tsukuba Circuit in Japan, same time at 1300 or 1 p.m. EST. I can't do all the calculations for you wherever you may be watching from, so go ahead and look at a world clock, if you will. But thank you for joining us. We will be posting this race up on our YouTube channel if you missed portions of it, or you want to get some inspiration for some steak liveries or anything else.
Just want to hear our voices again.
Yeah.
No, I appreciate everyone hanging out with us. Looks like we had a few different viewers coming up in here. It was great to see, and appreciate everyone joining in for our first race. Really looking forward to the Manufacturer Series continuing. If we're going to have races like that for the entire season, I'm pumped.
I am very excited for it. So with that, we're going to get going. Thank you, everyone, for joining, and have a terrific rest of your day.
Cheers, everyone.